All right. Well, my name is Madison. I am a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend. I'm an activist and a cat person. I'm a descendant of Europeans who came to Nova Scotia in the 1700s. So I'm a maritimer at heart, but I tend to move around and like to be kind of adventurous. And I've been a vegetarian for most of my life. I work in sort of informal education. I work in an educational institution, but it's supposed to be sort of accessible to everybody. So I do lots of programming that is meant to connect with people who don't necessarily have a really strong background in science. So it's all about breaking down complicated things and explaining them to people who might not know what all of the words mean, all of the jargon. Just trying to make it accessible. We also try to keep things as low cost as possible so that we can offer things for free or for low cost to people, for people to participate. Because it's all about just, making sure that people have access to science and sort of a way to improve their own science literacy, even if it wasn't something maybe that they did in school or knew a whole lot about. Yeah, I think a lot of the traits that my friends get to see, like, being curious and creative and all those sort of things, I get to use at work, which I think is really great. I know not everybody gets to be creative at work, and I think that's a really great thing about my job. But definitely I have to be very, very organized at work. We have a lot going on. At any given time, we could have all sorts of different programs running in a week. So you have to be organized. We're partnering with lots of people in the community, so there's lots of emails going out. And I don't think I necessarily have to be that organized in my everyday life. I'm not sure that's the first thing my friends would think of when they thought of me, but at work, it's definitely something you gotta stay on top of things. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of partnerships, which is fun and it's great. But in order for us to be successful as a group here, you gotta definitely keep yourself in order. Definitely didn't foresee doing this when I was in high school. When I was in high school, I was really interested in biology and chemistry, and so I figured I wanted to do some science when I got to university. But when I got to the end of high school, I was looking at all sorts of different things. I thought maybe I wanted to be a beekeeper. My dad was like, "No, you're not going to be a beekeeper." I thought maybe I wanted to learn how to make wine. So when I was in grade 12, I was all ready to go to Brock University and learn how to make wine. I just had all sorts of different ideas. I just knew I liked science, and I just had to follow that. So then I, was good at biology. So a bunch of people told me to go to med school. So then I was on a trajectory of maybe I'll get into medical school. And very fortunately, I ended up working in a lab as a research assistant, because someone told me that's a good way to get into medical school is to start in a lab. So I went and did that. And I realized that the research labs were full of all these really quirky, interesting people who were just interested in science for its own sake, and they came from all these different backgrounds in different parts of the world. And the first lab I worked in was a cricket lab. So we worked in like a dark basement full of crickets, trying to figure out their immune system and their behavior. And I was like, this is so cool and fun. And there are people like this all over the world in this realm of research and teaching and all that sort of thing. So that's how I sort of shifted over to there sort of midway through university, and ended up on this trajectory where I was, more interested in doing research and meeting these cool people, and med school just kind of fell completely by the wayside. So I definitely was all over the map for a really long time, and wasn't really until I got toward the end of my first degree that I was like, oh, okay, maybe I kind of have an idea of what direction I want to go in. And even now, I'm always thinking of new, cool, fun things to do. I'm just really lucky that at my job, I can do some of those fun things as part of my job. So, I really wanted to learn how to tap maple trees. So I do that at work now. And I teach other people about it, and they come out with me on the trail and learn about trees. So, yeah, I would say I'm still kind of on that trajectory a little bit, but my job allows me to have that sort of freedom, which I think is really great. I think it's really, really great that we are able to engage with students in the public school system. So again, I think it's really important to make science accessible, and it is all well and good to work at a museum where the costs are very low or where there's free programs available, but that's still not accessible to everybody. And I think it's really great that we are able to sort of work with the teachers and the schools, because all the kids are going to school. And if that means that through school they get to come to Manuels River, even if that's the only time they get to come out here and learn about fossils and trilobites and sort of see that really cool thing. I mean, the first time kids see fossils, they're usually like, blown away at how cool that is. And so I think it's really great that we're able to sort of work with a group of kids that maybe they wouldn't get a chance to come out. There's some schools in St. John's where there's a lot of newcomers to Canada who haven't been outside the city yet, right? So we've got these kids who are like, 10 and it's their first time leaving town and they're coming out to CBS and they're so excited. And I just think that's so great. So I think being able to really feel like you're a part of the community, be part of the community, makes the job super meaningful. Well, when I was in high school and junior high, probably around grade 9, I started volunteering with some sort of like leadership organizations, so like student council and that type of thing. And I started working and volunteering at camps. And so I still use some of those skills that I started developing there and some of those experiences there in my job today when I'm running camp or when I'm trying to engage a group of kids. It's not something that all adults just know how to do, like how to, get a group of kids to listen to you and do something. That's not something that everyone knows how to do. It's something that it's a skill that you build up over time. And it was definitely something that I was able to start doing when I was a teenager, working as a camp counselor or just a camp volunteer. There's definitely things you can be doing today that you don't realize are going to help you later. So I say, do the things that you think are really fun, the things that you find really rewarding. I didn't go to camp because I thought it was going to get me a job someday. I went to camp because it was fun and I loved it. But it helps me all the time now. And it helps keep me excited and enthusiastic about camp as an adult because I remember how special it was as a kid. So yeah, doing the things that you love and just accepting that you're learning all sorts of great skills from that, even if you can't see them or put them on a resume right away, I think is really, really key. And then as you get older, you look back on them and you're like, oh yeah, I know how to get these kids to stand in line and listen to me. We're going to do that goofy song I did. And I learned it when I was 14, So I think, just do the things you really love. And that helps you figure it out as you go. I guess just don't be afraid to change course a whole bunch of times. I think it's really normal you're always changing and growing as a person. So it's really normal for the things you're interested in to be changing too. And it's not like some big failure if you decide that this actually isn't what you're passionate about and you need to shift ever so slightly. And with a little bit of creativity, sometimes you can pivot in a way that you don't lose all of the other things that you've done. People get halfway through a degree program and they're like, oh, I actually don't want to do this. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a physiotherapist, whatever the case is. And yeah, I think a lot of people see that as a failure, but I don't think it's a failure. I think it's just a great way to learn, and you'll take some of those things forward as you move on to your next path. And I think it all works out in the end.